And good morning, everyone. This is Brian Ritter, your host today on the Dakota Housing Network. We're broadcasting live with, as always, producer Jim. Producer Jim, I took his microphone. You can barely hear him. As my longtime listeners know, all dozen of them out there, there's probably less than that, Deb.
He has a lot of relatives.
That's right. Everyone knows that we do a musical theme for each show. And Jim, I'm going to swing the mic over. What are we doing today?
Johnny Cash.
Oh, I love Johnny.
Yeah. Do you hear that, folks in Radio Land? We're doing Johnny Cash.
I'm going to apologize in advance because I might bust out in
Deb,
song.
No. Deb, if you start singing, I'm going to have to ask you to step outside. We can't test, Test or Deb, if you guys start singing,
out the door. Okay, I'll
try
my best.
Okay.
I'll try my best.
No promises, though, but that's what we're going to do. So every break going in and out, it'll be Johnny Cash. So do you know a solid 5 to 6 Johnny Cash songs?
Absolutely.
Are you confident in your abilities?
I'm ready to sing.
Well, I don't mean to put any pressure on you guys, but folks, I'm joined in studio today, aside from producer Jim, who's always here, by my two great guests today from the, we're just going to call it the Power of 100. I know you both have different jobs. I know you both have different roles, but today we are talking about all things Power of 100.
Yes.
So I have Deb Esslinger and Tess Schlafman.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you for being here with me. So
Thank you for having us.
we're going to start off today's show like we do every show, and we're going to do a little around town. I'm going to do a little bit of Bismarck-Mandan by the numbers, and for that we're going to use the Bismarck-Mandan Development Association's Economy at a Glance. You can find this document on our website at www.bmda.org. Bottom left-hand corner of your screen, you're going to find the Economy at a Glance. And what it is a collection of economic indicators, because when people drive around Bismarck-Mandan, they see buildings going up, they see dirt moving, they see steel coming out of the ground, and they're going, boy, what does all this mean? And so this is a great collection of indicators. And I'm going to start off with an unemployment rate. So I'm going to start off with some trivia tests, Deb. Are you ready?
I think so.
Getting your isolation.
I'll let you answer first.
You guys getting your isolation boost? So we have May unemployment numbers, because that's the most recent numbers we have right now. Turn this over.
Yeah.
True or false, the unemployment rate in Bismarck-Mandan, Burley-Morton County in May of this year was below 2.5%. True or false? Tess, you go first.
True.
True? Deb?
Oh, man, I'm thinking it's true.
You're going to go true? You are correct.
I know it's under 3%.
Absolutely.
Well, you both are off to a great start.
Oh.
Believe it or not, Deb, come on.
That was my alarm
Deb's
to make
alarm
sure that
went
I
off,
picked my
folks.
9-year-old up.
It's all right. Well, you know what? I can excuse that one. We can let that one go. But the unemployment rate in May in Bismarck-Mandan and Burley-Morton County was actually 1.9%.
Wow.
I think that number surprises a lot of people, because we've seen what's happened in the ag markets. We've seen what's happened in oil and gas. And people just assume, well, that means obviously the job market must have changed.
Yep.
Now, for some reference, okay, so that number is 1.9% right now. If we go back 3 years ago, May of 14, when prices were at their all-time high, believe it or not, that number here was actually 2.2%. So I think it surprises people, because when they look at it, they go, 1.9%, that's lower than it was during the oil boom? And it actually is. So now that's going to lead us to our next true-false question. Are you ready?
I hope so.
That's not a real confident answer, but we'll
I
take
hope
it.
so.
We'll take it. True or false, there are more than 2,000 open jobs between Bismarck-Mandan, Burley-Morton County. Deb, you start us off.
I'm going to say true.
You're going to say true, Tess?
True. Absolutely.
Boy, you're both on a winning streak.
Yeah.
There are actually right now about somewhere between 2,100 and 2,200 open jobs in Bismarck-Mandan, Burley-Morton County. That's a huge number, and I don't think, again, it registers with most people. What concerns me about that number is now, okay, so we've gone through all summer, and summer means summer help, high school students, college students. School starts next week.
Yep.
A lot of college students are already gone back to their respective campuses. When that hits, I'm afraid that we are going to experience an even tighter labor market in Bismarck and Mandan. I mean, I'm already hearing stories of people who have gone into restaurants just recently, and they've been, delivery only. Dining room hasn't been open. Lack of staffing. I think we're going to see that, and that's a concern. I mean, that's a concern.
Huge
I think
concern.
for a lot of us, right?
Very much.
So it'll be a tough thing, but it's a problem associated with growth. I'd much rather have that issue than have too many people out there filing employment. So let's go down next to sales tax collections. Question number 3. Are you both ready?
We are ready.
We are.
That sounded
Buzzer's
more,
ready.
That
My buzzer's ready.
That sounded more confident than it did last time. So here we go.
3 out of 3.
So sales tax collections, and I'm going to talk about only Bismarck this time. June of 17 versus June of 16. Do you think they're higher this year than they were last year? Or do you think they're lower this year than they were last year?
I'm going to say higher.
You're going to say higher in June.
Yeah.
Tess?
I'm going to say higher.
Boy, 3 for 3, ladies.
Yeah.
Well done.
That's right.
I think we've heard so much about Amazon's impact on local retailers, and you see the endless stream of stories about JCPenney closings and Sears closings and Kmart. Well, when you look at the city of Bismarck in particular, sales tax collections in June of 17 and May of 17 were actually both up over May of 16 and June 16. So I mean, so that's a good sign for the economy. Year to date, we're still down a little bit. Year to date in Bismarck, last year that number was about 8.2 million. This year it's about 8.05. So it's not very far off.
Sure.
Mandan, up or low? I mean, higher or lower than last year to date?
I'm going to say upper.
Upper.
Higher.
Tess. Oh, there's some
They've got a
delivery.
lot of great.
There's some
Higher,
okay,
higher.
she-
They've
there.
got some news.
4 for 4, folks.
Yes.
Both higher. You can't hear
Drop
the hand
the
slap,
mic.
but boy,
Drop the mic.
you gonna leave the show now because you're 4
No,
for 4?
no, this is awesome.
I'm not sure how we're gonna make
love
this work.
trivia.
Just confidence, right?
That's
Building the
right.
confidence. But I think it is an important fact for listeners to understand that because we have such a strong job market translates obviously into a strong overall economy.
Yep.
Just imagine how much better those numbers could be if we could fill all those open jobs. You'd have 2,000 more people in a community of about 125,000 in the workforce spending money doing all those things. So that's why it's always a constant mission. We're going to jump all the way to the bottom now for question number 5. True or false? Airport boardings at the Bismarck Airport, were they higher in June of 17 than June of 16, or were they lower
This is
in
a
June of
tough one.
16? Airport boardings, passengers, number of people flying through the airport, higher this June than
I'm
was
going to
last
say
year?
increase.
You're going to say higher, Tess?
Absolutely.
5 for 5.
Yeah.
And you can't even see my sheet.
No.
Believe it or not, the Bismarck Airport is actually on pace to set the record of passenger boardings for the 3rd consecutive year.
Fantastic.
When we look at number of passengers going through the airport through 6 months of this year, it's about 132,000 passengers versus about 128,000 passengers last year. Believe it or not, there's actually a discussion happening right now amongst city leadership. Do we need to add a couple more gates at the airport? Because there was a time, and you both know this, when Delta used one gate, United used one gate. That's about all she wrote.
Yep.
Now all of a sudden you've got Delta flying 8 times a day to Minneapolis, St. Paul. You've got United flying 5 times a day to Denver. Frontier's flying to Denver. Frontier's flying to Vegas now. Allegiant's going to where? Orlando, Vegas,
Yep.
Arizona.
Arizona.
Going to Phoenix Mesa. And then you've got American now flying routes to Chicago O'Hare as well as Dallas-Fort Worth. So all in all, great news for Bismarck Mandan's economy. Producer Jim has given me the finger. That means 1 minute. And we are going to be played out with some Johnny Cash. And coming back next break, we're going to talk all things Power of 100.
Well, I won't back down.
Right now, 67.
Here's Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons on Super Talk 1270.
There's a man going round taking names, and he decides who to free and who to blame.
And we're back on Super Talk 1270.
All the same.
That, of course, are the sounds of Johnny Cash. Jim, what song was that?
It's called When the Man Comes Around.
He's an encyclopedia of musical knowledge sitting right next to us. And
And
he
I
never
have
ceases to
say,
amaze me.
You know, Johnny Cash is just brilliant. So good pick today, Jim.
Thank you.
Jim
Yeah.
came up big with the music today. My name is Brian Ritter. I'm with the Bismarck Mandan Development Association, your host for the next 45 minutes, and I'm joined in studio by Deb Esslinger and Tess Schloffman, and they are going to talk to us about the power of 100. Isn't that correct, ladies?
I think it is, right?
Or you brought here under false pretenses? Did you think we were going to talk my fantasy football draft? And we could do that.
Hey, we can
Hey,
do
we
that
can
as
do
well.
that.
I am
Oh, well
all
then.
Steelers. I cannot wait.
Okay, well then I
for-
guess the last segment of the show
Yeah,
just
yeah.
got changed.
I'm getting excited.
Sorry, power of 100.
All
So,
three different.
I
so,
know, right?
ladies, the reason, Deb, to my original email, boy, it goes back a couple months ago,
Yeah.
about the power of 100 really came about because my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law had attended the last Power of 100 event out at Bismarck Aero Center.
Oh, awesome.
That's great.
And I saw these pictures on Facebook, and it was incredible. Saw a lot of faces I knew, saw a lot of very strong, powerful smart women
Yeah.
coming together for one reason, but I didn't know what the reason was.
Yep.
So I learned a little bit more about it, and that's when I emailed you and Deb,
Yep.
and I said, "Can you come on the show with me and tell me about what this is? Because everything I've heard has been fantastic, and this is an extremely cool thing for our community." So let's start off, I guess, first from the basics. What is Power of 100?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna dig back just a little bit, and
Okay.
I'm super excited to hear that your mother-in-law and you had some relatives that attended that night. I don't think Tess and I could really keep up with all the women that were there that night because it was such a great
You had
It's
an air-
very moving.
You had an
Yeah.
airplane hangar full of people.
I know.
Yes,
It
That
was so
doesn't
much
happen very
fun.
often.
And big
It
shout
was
out to John
amazing.
Simmers and his team out there because they hosted
Yeah.
us and just welcomed and opened those doors for us to come invade with a bunch
Excellent.
of women. So
Excellent.
But Power of 100, I first learned about it probably 3 years ago. About 2 to 3 years ago, I was in Fargo doing a training. Deidre and myself were out there doing a training, and there was these women setting up for this event that night. And I'm like, what is that? That looks kind of fun. You know, it just kind of piqued my interest. Learned a little bit more about it. Talked to one of the coordinators out there, Christy Dower, who might be listening to us here today. Hi. And she's talked a little bit, and then it came to be that she was really good friends with Tess because they worked together. And I was like, well, I know Tess. I did her wedding photos from way back when.
Oh,
and
family. We're
Yeah,
family.
we're all
Family at this
family
point.
pretty much, right?
Small world.
And so she's like, well, I know Tess has interest in doing this in Bismarck, so let's connect the two of you. And so, it took us 2 years to get this off the ground,
It was a little bit.
but it's perfect timing. So Power of 100 is really what we say it is. It's at least 100 women coming together in the spirit of giving to a random chosen, donation, charity.
Nonprofit, yeah.
Nonprofit with no strings attached. Besides, you come, you become a member, you write your $100 check out, and you leave, right? And you just celebrate. And of course, we'll dive into some of those details. But at the very basic, it's very simple, it's very powerful, and it's very meaningful. And
The biggest part too is the power of 100 is the power of a $100 bill and what
Yeah.
it can do, times 100 women. I mean, that's $10,000 given 4 times a year to a nonprofit.
yeah, and I want to
chosen
stress a
charity.
minimum, right? Because we want more than 100.
Yes,
Yeah.
we don't stop at 100 women. We keep going. So I don't know exact numbers where Fargo is up to, and where we're up to, but I think we're at 100.
We're right at. I think our first donation was like 9,700 or 9,800.
Yeah.
So now the Power of 100 ladies is not necessarily just a Fargo phenomenon or a Bismarck Mandan phenomenon.
it's not.
There is a broader, much richer history behind this whole movement.
Yeah. So when
Take it away.
I witnessed what they were doing in Fargo, and I actually got to attend one of their live events, not that night that I was out there 2-3 years ago, but I attended back in April just to kind of learn. And I heard their story of who they kind of modeled it off of as well. And I started doing more research on this gal. Her name is Karen Dunnigan, and she's from Michigan, Jackson, Michigan. And essentially how this kind of brainchild happened for her was she was very prominent in her community. She actually was the mayor at one point. And she was trying to look for needs of some different nonprofits. She toured this family readiness place, and all these women had, just given birth to babies, but didn't have the basic essentials of baby blankets and cribs. So most of these women had their brand new babies sleeping with them in a single bed or a full bed because they were mostly single women, and it just broke her heart. And she's just like, just the basic necessities of taking care of children, there should be some cribs given to these women. So she was, very prominent. She knew she could contact 2-3 people, and they each would give, $1,000 or whatever, and she would have it done in an hour, right? But what she wanted to do was make a bigger impact. So she wanted to get at least 100 people that were willing to give 100 because she wanted the community to really get around the awareness of the needs of this community center, along with getting more people engaged and more people, more power to the cause. And so 4 hours later, she rounded up 100 people, and they got 100 cribs. So they didn't do $100; they did 100 cribs, and basically bought all these cribs, took them to the Family Readiness Center. And she's like, well, why stop there? We need this other center over here needs this. And so then she started rallying the troops to get 100 of these items, and then essentially it just started going into $100. And what can we do with at least 100 women bringing $100? I think their first donation of cribs totaled like $12,000 and some odd dollars. So it was pretty powerful.
the dollar amount. Yeah,
pretty
that
powerful
is
dollar
awesome.
amount, but then also, they
was
had an abundance
meaningful.
of cribs, and it was very meaningful, and it had just such a huge impact on that particular nonprofit. Because, as you know, Brian, when someone gets motivated to give, it doesn't stop there, right? It kind of creates this
feeling,
movement
it
of
does.
you feel so good, and you just know you're helping, and the cause is different all the time. And quite honestly, a lot of women want to give, but maybe they don't have the time and energy to do all the research for these nonprofits, do all the, the inventory of what's needed out there. So us being able to bring an event like this to the town or to the community is we're kind of doing some of that pre-homework done for people, and they can come, enjoy their night, write a check out, and be grateful that they gave.
Well, I think how does the quote go? There's nothing stronger than the heart of a volunteer.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems to be true in the case of both you. Now, Deb, I understand. So you heard about this. So this phenomenon is born in Michigan, now goes nationwide. You hear about it for the first time in Fargo, correct? I mean,
Yes.
Absolutely. Yep.
So what was it about this particular, call it a movement? What about this particular event that spoke to both of you to the point where you said, we have to do this in Bismarck-Mandan?
Want to answer first?
I chose to do this for the simple fact that I know that there are so many women in this community that like to give. We all probably give on a daily basis or monthly, our donations. But for me, it was bringing all these women together and being able to give the dollar amount that we could for these charities that, are looking for a big donation to give, to do well on the part of their charity. There's so many things that so many of these charities need. I mean, I heard about charities for our first meeting that I never knew about. So it's making more people in the community aware, too, of these charities and what we can do for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Deb, same question.
For me, Brian, as you know, I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, and now I'm a director for a nonprofit organization, which is, the shoes in which nonprofits are seeking money or grant funds or whatever it might be. But what I've seen is so much need, and quite honestly, this whole thing, I love to give. Like, one of my favorite things to do is to give. To be able to recognize and to give is just really in my DNA. Like, I can't shut it off. I always kind of joke, me and Tess and Deidre, all three of us who are on this executive team, all three of us are extremely busy women, and people are like, how do you have time to do this? And I always joke and say it's in my free time. But it's such a high priority for me to make sure that I'm involved in something that is making a difference and adding value to an organization beyond even just the money. It's the awareness of, all the,
Absolutely.
at the first
Yes.
event, we had 3 phenomenal, nonprofits that were able
Yep.
to bring awareness to their event. And we'll talk about some of that stuff, throughout our interview. But it's just, I love to give. Like, I need to be part of something that is bigger than me.
It's such a
that,
feeling.
It's that 4-letter word,
Yes.
Brian, the 4-letter word. And it says more, MORE. That word is always in my head. How can I do more? How can I give more? How can I be more? How can I, add more value? How can I, that 4-letter word more gets me all the time because I just want to impact more.
And it's just a feeling of gratitude,
Yeah.
to be able to do this. And the feeling of giving is, like Deb said, is just amazing. You give a little here or there, but to give big is great.
So now, because we're going to talk about this for the next half hour, but if someone's listening right now and they want to learn more about the cause, want to learn more about the movement right now, what's the fastest way for them to learn more about it from their phone, from their desk, wherever they're at?
A couple ways. If you're social media, just hop onto our Facebook page, facebook.com, bismanpowerof100, or you can just jump on our website, bismanpowerof100.com.
And the website will tell you, it'll tell you everything about how to join the charities, how to nominate charities. There's 2 ways to join, and one is by individual or as a team. It'll list all of that under there. The website will explain everything.
Yeah.
Or you can contact us by email, too, if you have a question on anything.
Yeah.
All the information is on our website, which is bismanpowerof100@gmail.com.
Awesome. Well, so do just that, folks. If you're listening right now and you want to learn more in the next 5 minutes before the break, before we come back for our next segment, hop on the internet, bismanpowerof100.com, learn more about Power of 100. Now, producer Jim is going to play us off with another Johnny Cash classic.
A Johnny Cash classic, right?
Say that 3
Say that 3
times.
times in a row.
I think I don't know what's going to be. I can't see it, folks, but here you go, coming back on Super Talk 1270.
Love is a burning thing.
Right now, 67.
Dave Ramsey is heard here. Super Talk 1270.
Well, you ask me if I'll forget my baby. I guess I will someday. I don't like it, but I guess things happen that way.
I don't know if you could all hear that out in Radio Land, but you're on the Dakota Housing Network here on Super Talk 1270 AM, and those are the sweet, soothing sounds of producer Jim's singing voice.
It was sweet.
It was sweet. It was
Yeah.
soothing. It was everything you
Almost put me to
imagined it
sleep.
could be.
It kind of
I'll
just
say
put me sound asleep.
this
Just got carried away, yeah.
This next segment will be a little bit slower.
Well, we want you to get carried away again at the next
That's right.
break, Jim.
Oh, yeah.
So we're
You
back
just keep
here on
that.
the Dakota Housing Network. My name is Brian Ritter. I'm with the Bismarck-Mandan Development Association. I'm your host, joined in studio today by Tess and Deb. We're going to talk about the Power of 100, and let's talk about your first event. Let's talk about the first Power of 100 event that was here in Bismarck-Mandan out at Bismarck Aero Center, correct?
Yes, it
Great.
was.
So let's talk about that night and what it meant to you and what it means for the community going forward.
Yeah, for me, I think when we sat after the event, because leading up to it, you're in the details, right? Like you're in the trenches, you're thinking of every single thing that needs to take place.
Promoting, yep.
The one thing I think that Tess, myself, and Deidre all reflected on afterward was, wow. Like
It was a wow.
It was a wow. It was just, we were so floored and grateful for how many people showed up, came to the event, became members prior to the event.
Or became members when
Yeah.
we invited guests. I mean, you're always welcome as a guest, and they ended up signing up and joining the
Yeah.
Power of 100, and it was great. It was the venue, everything was wonderful. Like Deb said, putting it together, we didn't realize till we got there, and it started, and we just started rolling with it. How moving it was, and just
Brian, it's so, oftentimes you have to try to twist people's arms sometimes to do things with you. Everybody was like, how can I help? What can I do? What else do you need? I mean, it was just like overflowing of people wanting to volunteer, of sponsors and donors. And, obviously Tess and Tess and Deidre and myself.
I love that you just refer to yourself in the third person.
always do,
because
Brian.
Brian thinks it's a great idea.
I know, Deb does too, often. Deb and Brian could have great conversation.
That's awesome.
Yes, they could.
But I think, we put so many hours of sweat equity into it prior to that. It was so awesome just to see how much, not only the three of us had so much belief in this, but so many other people thought it was such a great idea and also wanted to be part of that movement of
I think
contributing.
almost everyone we reached out to, sponsor-wise, to help us out with the event were more than excited to help us with it. They thought it was amazing.
So if I'm in my car right now or I'm at my office, I'm listening to this conversation and I'm thinking to myself, boy, that sounds like something I want to do, but I don't know what's all entailed. So give us a play-by-play of that first event. I mean, do I show up, write you a check, walk out? Do I show up and do we do a group dance?
We might.
Well,
we
okay.
might.
I mean, we don't know who anything out.
We might.
Like we
But
had
Tess,
kind of-
take us through what that night looks like.
Okay, so like I had mentioned, you can come in as a guest, or we want you, if you can before, to join our team. And you can go onto our website, and again, the forms are there. You can join as an individual or as a team. From 2 to 4 people can join as a team. You come in, we do have social hour for 1 hour from 5:30 to 6:30. So come in, and we have food that is donated to us. This next event coming up, we have food donated from Ground Round.
Oh, the GR.
So I know.
Awesome.
Woohoo.
Thanks, Randy and Bill.
And so we have social hour 5:30, 6:30. Right at 6:30, we do get started on our event. We start out with, well, I should back up a little bit and tell you that when you do come in, as an individual, you do get to choose a charity of your choice that you get to nominate. So any local nonprofit organization, they can put in a nomination for it. When you do come in, you sign in, you get your charity choice, and then you take it to the barrel and put it in the barrel. And so right at 6:30 when we do get started, we choose 3 charities at a time, one at a time. On behalf of that charity, the person who nominated them gets to come up and speak for 5 minutes. If you're not comfortable with speaking, you can get somebody from the charity to come in and speak on behalf of it.
Tess, this is like a nice version of the Hunger Games, I feel like. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not throwing elbows or
Not
anything like
bad,
that,
though.
but still, I
Yeah.
mean, we're fighting for the right causes here.
Right.
That's awesome.
So they get 5 minutes to speak, and then there's 5 minutes of questions from the audience.
Kind of like a little bit of a Shark Tank thing, right? But
A
it's,
little bit,
it's the
yeah.
audience gets to ask
Yeah.
them, well, what's exactly this money going to
That's
be
a good
used
one.
for? What, so they're
Yep.
they're able to really dig into that.
Yep. And the last 3 charities that were chosen, each person that nominated them came up and kind of spoke a little, but then they did have someone on behalf of those charities speaking. And just the knowledge of what they know of their own, organizations and what they could tell us on behalf of them was great.
Yeah.
And then after that, we each person gets to, as an individual or one vote per team, gets to vote on which charity they would like to be selected. And we go in a room in the back and tally them up and come out and announce the charity that was selected. So we are, it is literally 1 hour social, 1 hour of meeting, and we're done.
So now, Deb, I want to go back to something you said earlier in the segment about normally if you do an event like this, you got to twist arms. I mean, you've got to go knock on doors. You got to send emails. You got to text people and say, hey, can you come and help me out here? But this event, it sounds like from both you and Tess, you didn't have to do any of that. People showed up. People were excited to be there. What do you think about what you're doing or about the power of 100 speaks to people that they want to come out and do this just readily by themselves?
Yeah, I'd love to speak into that, Brian. And I think it's important to clarify, too, on when Tess is mentioning joining as an individual or team, what does that mean to join? Because people have an issue with commitment, right? And so this is why I think he's laughing at me over here. But
We all have commitment issues, Deb.
Well, because we're all busy, right? Yes. I mean, and it could be good busy, it could be bad busy, but, we're women that are, that are wanting to be part of this can be busy. I probably should just move forward here, but
Right, and we only meet 4 times.
We meet 4 times a year. But the commitment that you give us is, I'm committing to give you $100 4 times a year.
Right.
End of story. There's no fine print. There's no big long contract. It's, I want to be a member. I get to show up, write a check for $100, and then I'm done. Or a team. That team, if $100 is too much of a stretch, you can build a team. I'm actually on 4 teams, I think. So because I wanted all my girlfriends to be part of it, right? And so I've got a team over here with 3 ladies. I've got a team over here with 4 ladies. And so being able to get more people involved in a team, they just commit to $100, but then that team only gets one vote versus an individual who gets one vote. So to me, we're making it available and accessible for any woman to be part of, right? And what I'm seeing and speaking into not having to twist arms is we really just, what I see our biggest role, me, Tess, and Deidre, was the vision casters, right? We were the vision casters of this idea, bringing it to Bismarck-Mandan and trying to get women to pool together for a great cause. And I am so grateful that these women just they saw our vision. They showed up in troves, wanting to help and to give. Things that I saw and heard back from some of these women, Brian, on the impact that it had on them. And I won't name names, but these are prominent women in the community that people, like you said, I've seen some pretty successful people there. Wow, Deb, that was amazing. All I had to do was show up. There was no expectation of me. I got to have a glass of wine and write a check. Great to a cause. Now I get to leave, right?
And we know everybody is busy, and not everybody is going to be able to attend all 4 of the events. I mean, things come up. So you can still become a member. You can still be part of it. It's just that commitment of the $100 4 times a year.
Absolutely.
So let's talk real quickly about your first event. And we've gone through the Shark Tank / Hunger Games.
Yeah.
No holds barred fight for my charity. Which one was ultimately selected by the group?
Yeah, great question.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Okay, we the three that were selected that evening from the big drum, which is also kind of fun to have all these charities in the drum, right? And randomly pull out, so everybody's on pins and needles sitting at the edge of their seat, just like my daughter's taught in violin this morning. You got to sit at the edge and nice tall, right? But they're excited. They're really excited to be there. We had three amazing charities selected. Tracy Sanctuary House was one. We had also Hope Manor, who ended up being the one that was
chosen,
selected that night. Our third one, I'm drawing a blank.
YouthWorks.
Yeah, YouthWorks. I almost said the wrong one there. And then YouthWorks was also one.
So amazing charities.
Hope Manor had, that was the selected charity that evening. And, for those that aren't familiar with Hope Manor, go out and check it out. But what I loved, Brian, was the fact that even though those donations were pooled together for Hope Manor, we witnessed two women specifically walk to one of the other charities that didn't get selected and give them a check in addition to the Hope Manor one. So if you don't got goosebumps yet, ladies that are listening to us, or Brian, if you want to join us, and, it was pretty powerful.
That last story you told is incredible to me.
I know.
Is that someone gave so willingly of themselves to that particular charity, but then thought enough of the others to walk up and say, you know what, I think this is also worthy of my resources, and here's the check.
Absolutely.
That's incredible.
Yes, and in addition to that, another lady even walked up to Deidre and gave her a check saying, I want to, here's money I want to put toward your next event to cover the costs. And it's like, wow.
Wow. Yeah. So we're gonna go out into our next break. But again, if you're listening right now and you want to learn more about what Tess and Deb and the Power of 100 are all about, go on their Facebook page. Just go to Facebook, search Power of 100 Bismarck Mandan, and then the website, of course, is bismanpowerof100.com. Make sure you get out, check it out. We've got 15 more minutes. We got one more segment with Deb and Tess. But now, again, it's Thursday. We've got producer Jim playing Johnny Cash hits for the next 15 minutes. What do we got now, Jim?
How to cry, and I showed the clouds how to cover up a clear blue sky.
Right now, 75.
Weekends with Twilight Zone Radio on Super Talk 1270.
I hurt myself today.
And we're back here on Super Talk 1270, the Dakota Housing Network. That, of course, is Johnny Cash covering a Nine Inch Nails song.
Yeah.
Not everyone remembers that Hurt was written by Trent Reznor and was a Nine Inch Nails song.
I didn't know
then
that.
all of a sudden, Johnny Cash does it with an acoustic guitar, and it turns into just one of the most touching songs.
Yeah.
But that's not the purpose for a show. We're not going to debate music today, but it is a quality song.
Well, I did think, we keep talking about Johnny Cash, but I know we have a Jimmy Cash right here in the booth, right?
Oh
did
boy,
you hear Jim sing?
Producer
Johnny
Jim,
Cash?
I don't know if he's going to go with Jimmy Cash later, but he has been, of course, the DJ for our show today, and we are joined in the studio by not only Jim, but Tess and Deb from the Power of 100, and we just got done talking about the first Power of 100 event, which was held earlier this summer. But now the second one is coming up, and let's talk about that, ladies. Let's talk about what happens next. If we've been listening this whole time and we want to be involved and we're looking for that next event, when is it? Where is it? What do we do?
Okay. Again, you can, like I said, go to bismanpower100.com, fill out a form, become a member. If you're not quite sure, you can join us at our next event, which is September 28th at the Comfort Inn. And again, social hour, 5:30, 6:30, 6:30, 7:30 is when we dig into the good stuff. So those are the ways that you can get involved. Other ways you can get involved is, we do have 5:30 to 6:30 during our social hour. We also do have the food that is donated, so there will be hors d'oeuvres and stuff from Ground Round.
And I want to talk about that just a bit because, Deidre and I and Tess, we all do a lot of event planning, and that was one of our big worries, Brian, is not having enough food. But, it's kind of like when the food is there, this is how much we have, and when it's gone, and it's a fishbowl, right? So if you're coming and you want to eat something, go ahead, drop, $5-10 into the fishbowl to help cover some of those expenses. But it's first come, first serve, and when it's gone, it's gone.
It's gone.
Yeah.
So now we've talked about how the meetings will run, and again, you show up at 5:30 for the social, 6:30 we sit down, we get down to business. If I have, again, let's go back and talk about if I have what I think is a worthy cause, a worthy charity,
Yep.
all I have to do is show up and put my charity into the barrel.
Let's back up just a
All
minute.
right, yes.
Yep. So we vet nonprofit organizations, and so we do require, if you are a member, that is who has the opportunity to nominate a charity. So there is a nomination of a charity form on our website as well that you would have to fill out and have it submitted at least 24 hours in advance, because what we need to do is make sure that those charities are been in existence for 18 months and that they're valid, right? And so you have to submit your form. So ladies out there that are members that are listening to us, start nominating some charities.
And get your forms,
into us.
Yes.
And then we go through, and when you show up at the registration desk, you'll get your, you'll say, oh, Brian, you nominated somebody, right? Here you go. Here's your thing, because we want you to see that you're putting your nomination into that drum. Just to make sure that everybody knows there's some accountability there, that everybody's charity. If 4 people nominate the same charity, then that charity goes in there 4 times. And so there's not a cap on who you can nominate. It's just you get to nominate, do it in advance to make sure that they are valid.
So let's talk about real quickly, since we're in Bismarck-Mandan, the charities that you are considering are Bismarck-Mandan
Yes.
organizations as well, correct?
Yep.
Absolutely.
I mean, I know there are obviously local chapters of larger national organizations, but because this is a Bismarck-Mandan
localized
group, okay,
charities.
okay.
Yep.
So if I am a business and I want to support this cause more so than just having one of my employees be there and give money personally, how does the business community get involved and help sponsor and help support your cause?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, there's plenty of businesses here that have teams. Like all the women at the office have teams of Power of 100 teams. But then also sponsoring. Everything that we put into this basically comes out of me and Deidre and Tessa's pockets, right? And which we're fine with doing that as well. But businesses have been so awesome. Comfort Inn is donating space. Bismarck Aero Center donated our space.
Dutch
Food.
nail floors.
Made it pretty that night with
oh my
beautiful
gosh,
flowers.
gorgeous. Yep.
We have
Queens
food.
did a banner. So we've had people that have reached out, or we've even reached out to for this. But we do this event 4 times a year. So we're always looking for space. We're always looking for help with food, sponsoring some food. And again, it's, we're not picky about what it is.
And this is all, I think it's important to know too that this is not a Deb and Tess and Deidre business. This is a community event. People can write their checks. They write the checks directly to the organization. And I never told you this earlier, but the sweetest sound, Brian, besides my children's first cry, is having 100+ women rip out a check all at the same time.
We have different ideas.
Listen to that, right? Well, we can talk about that after the show. But this is specific to BizMan Power 100. But it was amazing. It gave me goosebumps to hear all these women ripping out this check at the exact same time, which they write directly to the organization. As far as if someone wants to sponsor food, we can have that business write a check directly to that place for the food, or they can write us a cost for what the cost is. Yep. We have small, minimal expenses in between that people have just written, hey, here's $100 to help you offset website hosting or whatever it might be, but
stamps. And we send out different things, and so there's little
tablecloths,
yes.
Just all the little detail stuff.
Balloons, so you know where you're coming to, and there's just a little bit here and there.
So if I've been listening now to you ladies give what has been just a fantastic overview of what is a fantastic program, but I'm on the fence, and I'm still and again. Whether it's my time commitment, whether it's my resource commitment, if I'm on the fence, how do we push them over? I mean, what do we tell someone who isn't quite there yet to bring them into the fold?
Mm-hmm. And I think, first of all, if you can just attend as a guest that night, I think just attending alone is going to move you enough to want to join. I really do. It's very, like it says, it's simple, it's meaningful, but it is more than anything powerful, and back to, the meeting or our first gathering, there was women who were leaving after people were talking with tears in their eyes.
Yeah.
So
we need sponsors to buy Kleenexes too, right?
Oh, I forgot to add that to the list.
Because it's it's very meaningful, but
if you can't, I think the best way is reach out to us.
I'm happy to have anybody as my guest, right? I mean, I'm kind of a quiet, Brian might disagree with that, but I'm a quiet, reserved person, and walking into a room of 120, 150 women can be maybe intimidating, especially if you don't know. But the good news is we've got greeters at the door that are there specifically to help those people that are coming, that are new, that don't know anybody. But I'm happy to have anybody be my guest if they're undecided.
Yep.
What's interesting about both of your responses is that you believe so strongly in what you're doing that you were both willing to personally reach out to someone, take them by the hand, and bring them in to the fold. I mean, Tess, you mentioned if you're on the fence, then come. I mean, there's no commitment. We're not going to take your check. We're not going to do any of that. Come and see it, because we feel and we believe so strongly in what you're going to see that that'll be enough to move the needle.
I just got goosebumps thinking about it, because I mean, we build up to this, and, you know, like we said, we've planned it, and we put our time and our own personal money into this for this first event. And when it all came together, it was literally goosebumps, tears, and joy about how much we did for our community and this charity, or all the charities. I mean, there's more to come. There's more to come and more to give. And
after 8 events, we hope to give, 80,000. 5 years, a couple 100,000. I mean, it's just going to be pretty awesome.
So now we're going to go a little off script here for the last 3-4 minutes. Deb, obviously in your abundant free time,
yes,
you are the executive director of the Center for Technology and Business.
Yes.
And you have an event coming up in October, the Women's Business Summit.
We do.
Can we do a quick plug for that?
Oh, absolutely. So this is our 6th year of hosting the statewide Women's Business Summit. If you have never attended, you need to come as well. As you all know from the theme of this, I am very passionate about helping women, right? And our women, we have a wine, women, and chocolate reception Sunday evening at 1603 Event Center, specifically there to help women start doing the pre-networking, because women want to connect and network first. And then the next day at the Bismarck Event Center, we are kicking off our full day right away in the morning. We're going to kick off with a breakfast with entrepreneurship panel for leading ladies that are making a difference in North Dakota when it comes to business building. And then we have 8 different breakout sessions going on that day, anywhere from general track of just professional women in business to I need something specific for women, dealing with my business. But it's not just for business owners. It's for those professional women in business that want to grow, the employees of business owners, anybody that has a heart to grow and to learn more. We've got 2 great keynotes this year. We have Jess Ekstrom, and we also have Kaya. And Kaya was actually on Shark Tank pitching her her little foldable box, and then we're gonna have some donations there as well. If you want to sponsor that, please contact me. But we are super excited, and thank you BMDA for sponsoring that event as well with us. But it's gonna be a great event, our 6th year.
Wow.
We have an award ceremony at lunchtime. So go to our website, trainingnd.com, and you can kind of look through some of those opportunities to nominate, awesome women that are making a difference in North Dakota.
Awesome. Well, we have come to the end of our magical ride together.
Boy, that was quick.
Right? The hour goes fast. No one ever believes that it goes fast. It goes fast.
Really fast.
But I want to thank you both, Tess, Deb, for everything you're doing for our community, for being here being guests today. Again, Bizman Power of 100. If you want to learn more, go on the website, bizmanpowerof100.com. The next event, of course, is scheduled for September 28th. 5:30 social, 6:30 meeting at the Comfort Inn. Again, Facebook, go on the website, check it out late next month. Folks, thanks again for being here this morning.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. And with that, we're going to have one more Johnny Cash song.
Yeah,
and we'll sign off here on Super Talk 1270. Until next time.
When you get the blues, come on, get a rhythm. When you get the blues, a jumpy rhythm makes you feel so